Diana. Diana is going to give us a great presentation about oh, you see that? You see that, Diana? I'm getting the project fairs. You are going to learn a lot about it, and I have to tell you, I've been invited to a project fair in Colombia, and I don't know if I'm going to go, but you are going to find this presentation very interesting. So I welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a member of ITHF. And right now, there's two of us from the committee, from the virtual committee, Siva, who is not only our member, but he's our IT guru. He's the one who knows all about the computer and everything else. So whenever we have a question, we go to him about that. And I'm also a member of the ITHF committee, and we both welcome you to this meeting. And then we have Sheila, who is part of our board, and Sheila was just telling us when she joined the ITHF, which was, Sheila, when did you join? You're muted.
I think it was 1996, and it was in Calgary. So of course, now you know we're going to be coming back to Calgary after Singapore. So
welcome everybody. And now I am going to ask Siva to introduce our speaker. The agenda for today is the welcoming, the introduction, the speaker, and then we'll have a question and answer session, which Siva is also gonna handle. And then we're not gonna have a breakout room because there's only, as of right now, there's only 8 of us. So we just join in and share whatever we want to share, and then we'll say good night. And I'll give you a couple of information about our incoming tours, virtual tours and physical tours. It's all yours, Siva.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. First of all, let me take an anticipatory bail because I may be making mistakes in pronouncing the names and the names of places. Sorry about that. Now, let me introduce Diana. Diana joined Rotary in 2018. Currently, she is a member of the Global Passport Club, District 6330, and ITHF member. She is past president of the Rotary Club of Hallandale Beach, Aventura, Florida. Diana values local and international community service. Currently, she is taking Rotary International Service courses to learn more about service opportunities and Rotary Foundation requirements. Originally from El Salvador, Diana has lived in the US for 50 years. She moved from Aventura, Florida to Sonoma, California recently, where she is closer to her daughter, Carolina, who lives in San Francisco. Diana enjoys traveling and reading. Over to Diana.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to share with all of you my first experience in attending project fairs. And bear with me here for a second. I have to set up the, okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I passed the technology test, Siva. So, so today I just want to share the experience. It's really my first visit to project fairs, and I was actually recruited to go to the project fairs last year by Ligia Corredor. She's so active, and she always talked about them, and finally, I was able to do it. But I found that project fairs are a lot of things, including the opportunities to expand lifelong connections and ITHF membership. In fact, that's where Ligia recruited me to join the ITHF group. You know, reading, and I, you know, Siva mentioned I like to read. Whenever I'm going to do something, I like to read about it first. And I read the objective very careful, and it clearly matched what I like to do. I like to travel. I like to make friends around the world. I like to understand cultures. And I found that those objectives are very in line and very synergetic with project fairs. You know, you have the opportunity for fellowship. You tour the places. You find you know, a lot of opportunities for cultural exchange and expand your network. I met a lot of new people, made new friends in the process. And you know, in Rotary, I want to move this. I don't know, Shiva, how to get rid of this. It just shows up in my screen. There are many avenues to connect in Rotary. You know, you can get involved in discussion groups, in the country committees. You can have what do you call it, action groups, and you can do it personally also. But I found that the project fair is like a lot of things in one package. Especially for those who love to travel, attending the project fair is ideal for meeting Rotarians from multiple countries in one place. A lot of cultural exchange opportunities, cross-cultural exchange, and you're in the place where you can really see and live it. You travel the countries accompanied by Rotarians who have firsthand experience of the local traditions and ethos, and our experience in Colombia is a good example, with Trevor and Rosie being our host in Armenia, and it was incredible. They took us to places and explained to us some of the traditions and the foods, and it was just incredible. And building connections and long-term friendships. One of the things that I was very impressed with, especially with the team that I was working with. Many of them had been visiting these countries, El Salvador and Colombia, for many years, and the relationships with the local Rotarians was very, very strong. So, you know, very personal friends, type of affections that I observed, and that was very inspiring to me. And as I said, it's a great opportunity to connect with people and promote ITHF membership. My first experience, of course, was in El Salvador and Colombia. And I'm going to say that starting with the traveling team, where we had people from different places in Canada, many with tremendous commitments for service, and who had been doing it for a long time. It was just amazing. And then we had, of course, Ligia Corredor and myself from Florida. We had an opportunity to learn about each other as individuals, not just as Rotarian, but as individuals, as human beings. And as I said, we were hosted by Rosie and Trevor, and it was just incredible. I mean, we had so much fun, and they felt like family. For me, I was the new kid in the group, and I immediately felt like family. It was in fact, Rosie's sister, when I met her, she looks just like one of my sisters. So I feel that she is a sister that I didn't know I had. And you know, every fair is a little bit different, and that was the other point that is stuck in my head, is like how every country or every project fair, I would say, has their own structure, how they do it, how they deliver, how they meet. In El Salvador, for example, it's multiple countries that participate and that are part of District 42, 40 and 4250. In this case, this is the first time that they actually combined the fair with Rotaracts. And they also incorporated the Rotaracts led some training for RILA. So you see all the legs of the Rotary organization membership, right, involved in this fair. I found that very, very interesting because you get an opportunity, and it became evident how much the different generations learn from each other. Because and Ligia was actually she did a presentation, she did some training for RILA in terms of how to reach and how to expand the network in Rotary. And the RILA participants were able to simulate how to present a project to Rotarians, to visiting Rotarians. So that was a very interesting dynamic, because they were learning in this case from Ligia actually. And then in this case, the projects, they actually had booths where each club could present their projects. And we had an opportunity to meet individual people, both from the Rotary clubs as well as the Rotaracts, and even the RILAs were also presenting projects. But it was interesting because the RILA members and the Rotaracts were teaching us, older people, like how to use technology and how to do certain things that we didn't know, certain functionality in our iPhones. It was very, very interesting. I'm very very impressed. I was very impressed with the dynamic of that format of the fair. In Colombia, it was a little bit different. In Colombia, the project fair was held in Barranquilla, which is a beautiful city by the coast, and as by the Atlantic coast. And it was the time of Carnival. So they combined and they incorporated the Carnival festivities into the fair, the structure of the fair. In there, the presentation involved two districts, 4271 and 4281. And there was participation from 7 countries. In El Salvador, there were 12 countries. I forgot to mention that. But in Colombia, we also had the presence of the Latin America Cadre group, which was very interesting because they also presented some of an opportunity to really talk to Cadre at the same time that you're looking at the projects that were being presented. The projects were presented it was more of a presentation format. Each club presented projects that were about, I believe, if I recall correctly, Trevor, there were like 80 projects that got presented. And so you also had an opportunity to talk to the cadre and solicit some ideas. We had people like Susie Howe, who also attended the meeting. It was very nice to meet her in person. She is a director of Rotary International, as some of you may know. It was very very special, and I found that the format provided a lot of educational aspects of it, having the cadres there and presented. There was a presentation on all the resources that clubs can use to prepare for their projects or to prepare their presentations for their projects. And at the same time, it was fun because it was the element of, there was music, there was culture, and there was a lot of festivities combined with education, all in one room, basically. So that was really good. And of course, on both countries, we had an opportunity to actually visit projects. Some of the projects that had already been completed, right? And some that were being developed. For example, in El Salvador, we went to visit a toileton wash project that they had. We went to multiple schools with the clubs that had, local clubs that had led providing toilets to rural schools. Also, we saw a water project that some of these were led actually by the international clubs, where had donated a lot, and some of them were actually the sponsor clubs, the international sponsor clubs for these projects. And it had been led by the district governor, Tito Mancia, by the district governor at the time, the 4240 district. And then we went to see some of the ecological stoves that had been donated, and actually met the families that received this. You really see how, you know, your money is actually changing people's lives. And the other thing that I thought it was very interesting, because when I had learned in some of the courses that I was taking on global grants, the importance that Rotary, one of the primary requirements for a global grant is to make sure that the community wants that, and there is commitment from the community, that's what they really need. And we actually had the opportunity to ask the community what they needed, ecological stoves or water, and they said water. And even the money that was donated for ecological stoves, what the clubs that were present, the visiting clubs, agreed to move the money to water. So that way it's like, you know, actually writing a global grant on site, right? It was very, very interesting. And in Colombia, it was actually it was very, very special, because one of the projects that Bruce Higgs had been leading for a long time, and that is it's been multiple grants that have led to all this work in Buga, Colombia. And it just so happened that Jennifer Jones was visiting that project as part of her tour of that she had planned. I think it was part of her objectives for her presidential year, to visit clubs that had made a true difference in communities. And this was a very, very impressive project where the infant mortality rate had dropped by 80% in these communities, and the vicinities as well, because it's the only hospital that was able to provide the services for pregnant women, and this type of service, right, for infant care. So it was really interesting. We got to see it. We got to see Jennifer Jones as well. It was very special. We also saw another project in Colombia, in Armenia, that Trevor and Rosie had been working very hard on, and the club, and it had to do with promoting activities for high schoolers to get involved and teach them and learn how to produce, use technology to produce videos, produce stories. It was a whole. I'm going to say that could be at one point is going to be the new Hollywood of Colombia, because these kids were incredible. They really, it was very nice. You had from script writers to producers to performers. It was really very interesting. The whole team, it was like the whole. In fact, Bruce and Ligia and Susan that were in my group were actually interviewed, and they did a whole interview. It was very, very interesting. And you see the commitment that these kids have for learning and the difference that it makes. It prevents them from joining gangs or, going in the direction that is not healthy for society, right? So these are projects that really made a difference in the communities. You can see it. And then of course we had fun, that's the fun part. is the sightseeing and the culture exchange that you got in El Salvador. I was particularly proud because I am originally from El Salvador, and traveling with the group, I was able to take them to places that they hadn't been before. We explored a volcanic lake in El Salvador. El Salvador has over 100 volcanoes. It's a very volcanic area. So we went to the lake, we toured the area. Then we went to the Mayan pyramids, and this is actually the town that I grew up in. Oh. And we went to the we joined when we went to see some projects. We were joined by the club that was presenting the project, and we went to lunch by the ocean. And as we were having lunch, we saw whales going through. It was really beautiful. And in Colombia, we went to Santa Marta. We went to Cerro Verde hot springs. That was so much fun. And this is thanks to Rosie and Trevor who made sure that we should go there. It was really nice. And of course, the fruits in Colombia are incredible. I couldn't stop eating them. And you see, the nature of the place is absolutely beautiful in Armenia, which is where the fair is going to be next year. And we went to Salento, which is a town in the mountains, and we ran. Ligia was actually wearing a Rotary shirt, and this girl that you see on the bottom of the screen on the on the right hand side she's from France, and she saw it. She was touring the place, and she approached us and she said, "Are you Rotarians?" And then she told us that she had had a scholarship from a Rotary scholarship in the US. So that was very special too. So it's a combination of projects. It's learning about Rotary, learning about service, really getting to see the needs of the communities, and the sightseeing and the culture and the experience in the culture firsthand, right? So I guess, and then I started looking as to where are all the project fairs in the world in the Rotary site. And I found that there is in Africa, there is actually one in Chicago where it's different countries can come and actually present. I could not find the actual date yet, but I guess every year during the pandemic they didn't do it. But every year you can actually attend that fair, and it's in Evanston, in Chicago. It's very interesting. And then of course the ones that we went this year. Next year is going to be in the Central America one is going to be in Honduras, in San Pedro Sula, and in Armenia. And here is the message from.
My name is Trevor Burt, and on behalf of the governors of District 4271 and 4281, I have the pleasure in inviting you to the 9th Project Fair in Armenia, Kivdeo, on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of February 2024. We learned so much from the previous project fairs and managed to receive sponsorship for global grants that led to a major impact in our communities. I'm reaching out for new clubs and districts to become part of our future international partnerships in all areas of interest for the Rotary Foundation. I would really like to see some club members attending from our newly signed ICC agreements with 5 districts within the USA. This project fair is going to be very proactive with information detailing the venue and costs, description of projects to be presented, so as to help most clubs who'd like to organise in advance for the Rotary years 23-24, 24-25. I promise you a very warm welcome with open arms for all Rotarians who visit us next year. We're waiting for you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I should have let you say it in person, right, Trevor?
Yeah, no, I think the video was better.
All right. So, well, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share this experience. I get so excited, and sometimes I don't even know how to. I want to talk because it was so wonderful, and and I hope to see you at a project fair somewhere. If you want more information, you can find additional information in the Rotary International website under events and connections. It's very easy to find. The information is not always up to date, but if you keep going back, you'll get all the fairs that are the additional fairs that get added. So any questions, comments?
Are you available to do club presentations?
Sure, I'd be happy to. We just need to coordinate the timing, and I just have to share something with you because and Trevor knows the story, but I have been a nomad for a year and 3 months now. And I moved to Sonoma, but I have construction going on. And so I cannot move in yet. So sometimes it's hard for me to sort of find a place to do it, but I'll be happy to. I'm really happy to do it. We just need to coordinate the timing.
Thank you.
Yes, Alicia, you're on mute.
Alicia, you have to unmute.
I have a question for you. When you go on this project trips, to the clubs or the country that is presenting their projects, are they hoping that the Rotarians that are visiting their clubs or the districts will help them support those projects? Is that one of the purposes of the project fairs?
Absolutely. And Trevor, you can say more about that, but that's the idea.
Yes.
That's a great question, Alicia. That's the actual major point of the project fairs, is to make relationships with external Rotarians from other countries, and from those relationships, friendships develop and confidence develops. And so you can ask in your friends, we have a project we need help with. Would your club or your district be up for supporting us with whatever you can? And it just takes one project to start a relationship, and then it builds up from there. My wife Rosie and I formed a new club because we're very active. So we formed a new club 9 years ago. And we've already closed 3 projects. We've got 2 global grants being closed within the next 2 months. We're working on 2 others at the moment. We have 4 others in the pipeline for approval. So you can see, it's not that we're a club that has money, because the Rotary clubs in Colombia do not have money. It's very difficult to fundraise in poor countries. You can raise small amounts of money, but not monies that's going to make a difference to the community. So we rely totally on our international Rotarians. And that's where the relationships come from, and that builds confidence in working together. And that's the idea of the project fairs.
Yeah, very good. I think that's an excellent way to try to get partners to help. And
yes, it's very important, because to develop a project, you need an international partner. As soon as you have an international partner, then you can go into My Rotary and set a draft project up and get your GG number. When you've got your GG number, that's when you really start promoting it, and other clubs can see you've got a GG number. They can go in and read the project and see what it's all about, and that gives them confidence to, oh yeah, we can put $1,000 to that, or 2,000, whatever, and that's how it grows. That first project, the project that Diana was talking about in our local college, the international host was I've forgotten the name of this, but Siva probably knows. It's Deepak Gupta, past district governor. Do you know him?
I heard this name, but it doesn't. The full name doesn't come to my mind right now.
Yeah. Deepak Gupta and his wife Reena, they sponsored our first global grant. They were our international host, and that is closing in next month or two. It's taken a long time because of the pandemic. The college was literally unworkable for nearly 2 years. So we're finishing it now. But that was our very first global grant, and that was from our international host was from India. So yes, but it's very good. If you've never visited a project fair, well, you're ITHF member, so you like to travel. So as it encompasses the travel, encompasses being able to look at projects, see what the value there is for the community, and making new friends. So it's a total package all rolled into one. So I would very much recommend anybody that's never been to a project fair to do so in the future. It's very rewarding.
Yes, Warren.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor, for that, and Diana for your presentation. What you've just talked about was really why I was interested in attending. I was just at our club board meeting this Tuesday, and I heard about our district sort of international service project that the District 5580 has been working on probably for 5 to 10 years in Bolivia. District 5580 is all of North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and a little bit of Ontario that we're part of. So it appears that the main driver within 5580, his interest and passion, and I suppose, yeah, his time has come to sort of wrap up his involvement in the Bolivia project. So I think right now our district is at a point where we may be, from what I understand, maybe willing to take on another international service project. So I was hoping to hear more specifics about projects in developing countries from this call. So Trevor, it sounds like you'd be a good person to connect with offline about what you have going in Colombia.
By all means, Warren. I was the DISC for 4 years, but the last 2 years I've concentrated more on the actual project fair. I'm the official translator. My wife's the coordinator for this one coming up, and we're very, very busy, very active in our club. So yeah, it's very important. We learned when we built our new club, we decided that if we were lucky enough to get some international sponsors, that we would keep them fully informed of what's going on all the time. And that's exactly what we've done. And all our friends have said, this is the first time we've had so much information so quickly, and it's really good. So that's the important thing. When you build relationships is to keep everybody informed of what's going on.
Yeah, just to go a little bit further, I think the key to success in Bolivia has been operating with Rotarians in Bolivia, but also with an NGO known as Mano a Mano. And so that partnership between Rotarians in District 5580 in Canada, US, the Rotarians in Bolivia, and then that NGO Mano a Mano have been key to building clinics, I think, in a remote region of Bolivia.
Oh, okay, very good.
The other I think contact that would be good, Warren, is the ICC group, Trevor, because they also get to work on a lot of different projects, right? And they get members from Colombia. That I have not been attending that meeting in a while because I've had so many other things, but you know, that's just also, and you guys participate in that as well, right, Trevor? But there may be other things that with Adam.
Yeah, we had a meeting this week, but unfortunately, I don't know for what reason, but not many people are attending the virtual meetings.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's sometimes the schedules are a little bit difficult.
I think it takes time. As it says, you have to build relationships, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way is like ITHF is a perfect way of building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, Rosie and I, we're so busy, we don't have time to travel very much, but we love hosting people. So please, our house is your house if ever you want to visit Colombia.
Wow. Pretty nice invitation.
Genuine.
That's great. Well, I have a question. This is Patty from Portland. These are just basic questions, but I was interested in this, and this is the first question I have. I have two questions. Is for Diana, and okay. Diana, it looks like from your pictures on the slideshow, you went with a team of people. Now, how did you organize that team? Was that team from this group, or was it a team from your Rotary Club area, and you all decided to go to a particular project fair? How did you do that?
Actually, Ligia Corridor has been coordinating this team for many, many years. They have been, this is my first time that I joined, but they have been traveling together to these project fairs. They've been going to these countries for like 20 years or more. So they pretty much have the group that coordinates, but when I was in the attending the fairs, there are also other groups. So you can create your own group, basically.
Okay.
To anybody who wants to go. You can coordinate your itineraries, and as Trevor said, there are a lot of people locally that can help and that host you. We were lucky to have Trevor and Rosie, because they also have built long-term relationships with this group that I went with. But we run into other groups as well. That
so you could join the group that you were in. If you wanted to, or you could form your own group.
You can form
your own Rotary district.
Absolutely, you can form your own group, and feel free to reach out to us, because we can tell you how, where things are going, how we do it. Yes, because the only recommendation is that don't make the group too big, because it's very hard to coordinate. The next number of people, but you can create your own group.
And you just go on myrotary.org and you can find out where all the project fairs are.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. And listen, we're going to have the project fair in Colombia in February next year. So that's...
Yeah, I see it. Armenia. Yes. February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Yes.
It's not actually going to be in Armenia. It's going to Armenia is the capital of the Department of Quindío, but the hotel that we've managed to get for everybody, which is the headquarters of the project fair, is actually in a town called Quimbaja or Quimbaya. So it's an indigenous name from the Maya, and the hotel is part of a Decameron group. Which are very prevalent in Central and South America, and it's an all-inclusive hotel. So we managed to do a very good deal. So the registration for the project fair and 3 nights in the hotel, all-inclusive, breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner, all the drinks you can consume, shows, and the amenities, and it's $750 a person.
That's great.
Yeah, I have a question. That's why I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was just going to ask you a couple of questions. Number one, how long does the project fair last? And you just mentioned about the cost for those. It's 3 days, usually?
3 nights.
3 nights.
3 nights.
Okay, so that's one question. And then the next question is, Diana, you talked about the group that goes and you went here and you went there, and who coordinates all that, and how do you pay for that?
Yeah, that is separate from the fair. That is, in the case of the fairs that we went to in El Salvador, for example, I just happened to be from El Salvador, so I helped coordinate some of the places that we went to, and that was, we did a little bit before the fair and a little bit after the fair. So you sort of time it so that, you know, you can also, when you have to coordinate it with the local clubs as to when they are able to join us to go, like take us to see some of the projects, for example.
And
So
the cost, the cost for the additional cost, just for example, where you went, what was the additional cost?
You know, it varies, and it depends. I will say it depends on your own needs of the type of place that you want to stay with, because there was some of the other groups were staying at, I'm going to say, to nicer hotels, if I can call them that. You know, they're no more elegant hotels. We would normally stay at very nice hotels, but maybe not you know, chain hotels. They were like more boutique hotels. So I'm sorry, excuse me, I have to let the doggy out.
She's putting the dog away.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm at a niece's house who actually happens to live about 4 blocks when I'm supposed to be living, where I'm going to live, you know, but hopefully by the end of October, maybe beginning of November, when I'm done with the construction. So
yeah, the reason I ask that is because, let's say, for example, that I want to go to one of those projects, the ones that are listed. And how do you find out who is organizing or who's going, number one? And then if I don't find out who's going, then if I want to organize something, then I am going to be the one who has to look at the hotels and all that kind of stuff. Is that right?
yeah, yes, pretty much. But the local clubs, if we make a connection, you make connections with the local clubs, and they help you with that.
Okay.
You know, and the best way to do it, like for example, what I noticed is in El Salvador, for example, the district governor helped us look for the, you know, coordinate the hotels, the drivers, because you need a driver to, you know, depending on how many people, you need transportation. So he has a long-term relationship with Ligia, for example. In Colombia, it was Rosie and Trevor who helped us, and they also had a long-term relationship there. If I'm sure that, you know, if you go to Colombia and you want to create a team, if you reach out to some of the local clubs, maybe even the district governor, one of the district governors, they will be glad to help you and connect you with a local club that will embrace you. They are so warm, and I'm telling you, it's really like, it feels like a family.
Thank you.
They're really very helpful.
What does anybody else have any more questions, or we can share just whatever you want to share about your club, about yourself, about Rotary? Any more questions from anybody else?
Well, I just have one. Mine was a 2-part question, but I only got to ask that one. This is a very simple one. You know, there's people here on this Zoom thing from, you know, California. You've got them from all over, Canada, neat places. And I'm wondering what, if any of these people that are on this particular Zoom meeting have projects in their own club, internationally, you know, zone projects that you could put, or they could put their email out, and we, if we're interested, we could go directly to them and see if we might help them with their project or become an international partner with them. So, I mean, you know, Trevor was talking a lot about his project. There's probably other people. There's somebody on here from New Zealand, for crying out loud. That's a long ways away. And India, my goodness. So there's probably projects that are going on right within this group. And we'd be very interested in knowing if you need help with any of your international projects.
Yeah, even though I live in the United States, my projects are in Mexico.
Okay, that's great.
Because I'm from Mexico. I'm a Mexican. So I am very interested in helping my country. And so we have projects in Mexico.
Okay, and you could
I think your idea sharing. I think that's a great idea too.
Right. How can we get this? The 8 people that are on here, if they have an international project that they're thinking about or that they need help with, can they email you? And then you'll put it out in an email to us, or how do you want to do it?
Okay. Yes, and I think we can get your emails, Sheila and Siva. We can get the emails from our Rotarians here going to ITHF. Am I correct? Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, Sheila. Sheila, you want to?
That's right. And I just took a picture of everybody, so we got names and what have you.
But great. Yes, because again, we not only sponsor, for example, right now, and if you don't mind, if we continue on this, because
Sure.
we're sharing anyway. And
Right.
then what time are we supposed to finish the session, Siva? At 10?
Yeah, I will just add
But
one
we-
more point here, since we talked about the projects. See, my club is celebrating 50th year, Golden Jubilee, and we are in a very large project in which we are going to construct 50 houses for poor people. But I tried this. Unfortunately, the construction activity is not qualified as an international project, I believe. I'm not sure. But this project, which is of a very large scale, is started and it is going on under the leadership of my club, just for your information.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah, that's very good. You're right. The TRF will not donate 80% of DDF to construction projects.
Right.
But of course,
Yes,
that doesn't mean you can't do the global subvention by getting in touch with local districts or other districts and saying, have you got any DDF money? So you can get a direct subvention from those districts. There are many districts that are not using their money, Siva, and we don't know about those districts.
Right.
We've been asking Rotary International, and it's being pushed now by a guy called Chahab Alawaha and his wife Brissia. They're extremely well known in Rotary, and they're pushing to be given that information from Rotary International, given the information of what districts have got what money and are not spending it, so that they can be in touch with those districts and say, come on, in 5 years, you're going to, every year, once you've started a 5-year cycle, you're going to lose that money. So don't lose it, spend it on projects.
Right. And
So,
Siva, what about this? You might know about this too. Siva, as part of that building project, he's right. You can't really expect to get a global grant for a construction. But what about sanitation, the plumbing that has to go into there, the plumbing that's in the infrastructure for that little community you're building? You could probably get a grant for that, for the plumbing, and that would help a lot. So there's little ways you can work it. It's just crazy, but you have to think beyond, out of the box, I guess, is what they call it.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. And we are, we're sharing some things, but my husband just got a global grant for Cambodia. In 2020, he and I, right before the COVID, he and I visited Cambodia. And believe me, everybody needs help. It's not Cambodia, because of all the things they went through, that it is a sad thing what happened to Cambodia, really sad. And the people live in abject poverty, and I mean abject. You see a room with nothing, absolutely nothing in that room, but straw mats where they sleep.
Yeah.
It is it's just no latrines, nothing.
No.
And no water, it is really sad. So anyway, we are doing a global grant for Cambodia, but it's sharing, is knowing what the needs are in other places, and be able to say, hey, this is an area that we could probably help with whatever. So I think the sharing is a very good idea, Patty. I really do. And Trevor, I think doing the work that you're doing and everybody is doing is just amazing. It's just amazing. That's what Rotary is all about. That's why we are Rotarians.
Well, when I lived in England, obviously I was asked to join Rotary, and I did, but I didn't enjoy it because we didn't do anything. We were just writing checks to different people.
Yeah.
But when I came to live in Colombia in 2005, and I opened up a British English school, and my wife said, "Oh, we don't have much of a social life." So I said, "Do they have Rotary here?" And she didn't know what that was, but she reached out and found a lady friend that was a Rotarian, so that's how we joined. And it's so much different here because it's hands-on, and now it's become my passion and my wife's passion. So
that's really a good story. Very good story. That's neat. That's great. Wow.
What this really has been sharing. Look at all the things that we shared.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? All the things that we shared, and that we are all on the same page. We're all on the same page, trying to do and help people who are not as fortunate as we are, really, because we are really blessed. Yes, Warren.
Yeah, Trevor, I've just put my email address in chat for you. I did have an email set up to go to the email address for the project fair as well. Are you at the other end of that email address?
Yeah, my wife is, Warren. My wife is doing all the coordinating for that.
Okay.
Yeah, and
it's a rather long email address, and I'm not sure if I absolutely have it right. So mine is much simpler. You'll see it in the chat. I sent it directly to you.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind just sending me a quick email, we'll get connected offline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to go to your chat under your name, and it will be there.
Is that all lowercase, Warren?
Yeah.
It's all lowercase.
Yeah.
You got it? You got it, Trevor?
Yeah, I'm copying it.
Very good. Well, my friends, it's already 10 o'clock, my fellow Rotarians. Time sure goes by when you're having fun.